In a world where demons are considered the most dangerous enemy to humans, Hiroyoshi was the strongest spirit hunter in history. His power reached the level where he could kill any number of demons with complete ease, to the point that princes and people of authority in the empire became afraid of his power that kept increasing every day without stopping. And because of that, they decide that they must get rid of Hiroyoshi, because his power threatens their status, and makes his word in the empire the highest word, and the best way to kill him was through his students whom he trains and transfers his power to. So the imperial court goes and kidnaps the students as hostages, and recruits one of his students and sends him to kill Hiroyoshi. And indeed the student goes to kill him while crying from the intensity of his love for his teacher. But he has no other solution, and at that moment Hiroyoshi does not blame his student for that, and blames himself because he is the one who overdid increasing his power, and he should not have shown his full power to the empire. And he decides to transfer his soul to another world, and repeat the experience again from the beginning, but this time after learning the lesson. We go to another world where people possess extraordinary magical powers, through which they can defend themselves against demons, who represent their main enemies. And in this world, specifically in the palace of the Lamberg family, we are introduced to the child Sika. Sika is the third son of the Lamberg family, and his father Glaze performs a test to know the type of magical power he was born with: fire, water, wind, earth, light and darkness. But the result of the test is shocking, because he is born without any magical powers. And this surprise makes the father and his older sons, brothers of Sika, astonished. And here we are introduced to Roth, the eldest son of Glaze, and Gree, the second son, who mock Sika for not possessing any type of magical powers, but what they did not know is that inside him is the soul of the great Hiroyoshi, and he possesses limitless powers. Hiroyoshi understands the circumstances of his new life, and adapts to the end of his old story, and the beginning of the era of Sika. And after days Sika goes to start training and using his power. Sika's power in the previous life was that he could perform magic through paper, through which he could use that paper in combat as a weapon, or use them as assistants for him, spreading them in the city, and through them he could see and hear everything that happens in the city. And he begins experimenting on a group of tree leaves, when he uses his inner power and manages to turn them into a group of paper animals. But Gree interrupts Sika's training and bullies him with a tone full of arrogance, because he has no magical ability, and also mocks that he is a son from another mother, and that his mother died while giving birth to him. But Sika is mature enough to not let Gree's words affect him, and Sika's cold reaction stirs Gree's anger, and makes him try to hit him. But Sika orders a group of shiki formed in the shape of crows, to attack Gree, but without causing him harm. Sika's life as a son without magical power was full of discrimination and belittling of his strength and abilities, from everyone in the palace. And Sika was searching for a goal to pursue in his life to prove his strength. And one day Sika meets his brother Gree while he is going to train, and by Gree's arrogant nature, he boasts that he is going to train because he is a student at the Imperial Magic Academy, unlike Sika, who stays sitting doing nothing to increase his power. At that moment the idea of studying at the academy shines in Sika's eyes, and he decides to make it his goal to enter it despite it being a difficult goal, because the law states that it is not allowed for two sons from the same family to go to the academy. So for that to happen Gree must leave it, and Sika goes instead of him. But this does not discourage Sika, and he begins the first step in achieving his goal, and asks his father to attend training with his brothers, and indeed his father takes him with them to training. They all go to the training ground under the supervision of the father, and we see Roft starting first, and using wind magic and delivering a strike that is able to break the rock they are training on. And after Roft finishes it becomes Gree's turn, who uses fire magic and aims a large fireball at the training rock, and when he finishes he looks at Sika with a look of superiority and challenges him mockingly to try to take the magic staff and aim at the target. And Sika takes advantage of the situation, because he finds it a good opportunity to prove his worth that he should go to the academy, and he gathers his strength and uses the elements of nature to create a giant ball of blue flame, which is enough to destroy the training stone and the wall behind it as well. And Sika finishes his turn amid great astonishment from his father and brothers. But the father explains what happened to Roft and Gree, That history mentioned many people who were not born with any magical abilities, but that did not prevent them from practicing magic, and immediately Sika takes advantage of the opportunity, and asks his father to train in magic, but Glaze refuses, because history says that someone can use magic without being born with it, but that does not mean that he can become a magician, and after many attempts from Sika to convince his father, he agrees and decides to bring Sika a teacher, to teach him magic, but only teach him without any training. And indeed Sika commits to studying with his teacher, to know more about magic, and uses his paper magic, to monitor his brother's magic training, and also begins to read ancient books, to know all possible information about magic. And when Sika reaches the age of 11 years, he decides to test his ability to summon the Ayakashi. And the Ayakashi are creatures that Hiroyoshi had tamed and exiled to other worlds, so that he could summon them when he needs them, and he tries to summon the first Ayakashi and indeed succeeds in opening the gate and summons Yuki. And Yuki is a girl with an extraordinary ability to transform into a fox, and the moment Yuki comes out she screams Hiroyoshi's name and hugs him, but Sika pushes her away, and asks her how she was able to know that he is Hiroyoshi even though his body has changed. So Yuki replies that Hiroyoshi is the only one capable of summoning her, so he must be Hiroyoshi, and at that moment Sika is convinced but remains surprised, wondering why she looks younger than the form he is used to. So she answers that when his age became younger her age also became younger accordingly. And immediately she asks him to live with him in this world, because she has spent years locked alone in the other world. So Sika replies that no one in this world is allowed to see her with him. So Yuki transforms into a fox and tells him that she will hide inside him, and no one will be able to see her. And Sika agrees that she stays with him but confirms to her that she must completely forget the existence of Hiroyoshi because now he is Sika. After days we are introduced to Eva, who is one of the palace servants. And we see Gree being angry at her and shouting loudly at her, because of a small mistake she made while working. But Sika intervenes to get Eva out of the situation she is in. And he takes her and they go out to the palace garden to talk to her. Because Sika had noticed that Eva has an extraordinary ability and can see spirits, but when he confronts her with the truth Eva is shocked how he was able to know her secret, even though no one knows that secret except her mother who died, so she confesses to him the truth that she can indeed see spirits, and one of the traits of spirits is that they gather around things related to magic, and she tells him that she noticed something strange. That spirits can gather around Sika's belongings like his clothes for example, but they move away from Sika himself, as if he is a spirit hunter, and there is repulsion between them. But Sika does not have an explanation for this, and here an idea comes to Sika's mind, that he should help Eva train and develop her skills so that she can be an assistant to him in his journey. And he offers to teach her magic. So Eva is surprised and warns him that she does not possess any magical abilities. So Sika creates a small fireball in front of her, and asks her to control it and extinguish it exactly like she does with spirits. And after several attempts Eva succeeds in extinguishing it, so here Sika decides that he will help her train, and they repeat the exercises several times. Training Eva is not something difficult for Sika considering that he was a teacher to many students in the previous world, and Eva is happy with Sika training her, and decides to stay with him all the time, and help him with any goal he has in order to repay his kindness to her. After 1 year passes, the father Glaze goes out on a mission and leaves the palace. At that time Roft and Gree go to Sika and Roft offers to help him train with the sword, so that he can join the army because Sika is the weakest son among them and cannot inherit the rule, and also he does not have magical abilities to train magic at the academy. But their talk is interrupted by the servants calling for help, because a giant monster has invaded the Lambrug lands, and that it is approaching the palace. And at that moment Gree becomes afraid and hides himself in a safe place, while Sika runs to face the monster. And the moment he arrives he sees the monster attacking Eva and one of the servants. But he is amazed when he finds Eva using her power, and managing to protect herself and the servant from the monster's flames. And Sika quickly draws the monster's attention to lure it toward him, and allow Eva to escape, and the monster attacks him but Sika dodges it and manages to kill it with a single strike using a fireball. And this happens amid the astonishment of the people in the palace at his great power. And everyone in the palace begins to applaud Sika, of course except his brother Gree, whose heart is burning with jealousy. But what no one knows, is that none of what happened was a coincidence. Sika planned everything, and over the course of 6 months, he was researching the monsters that exist in this world, and he learned that there is a monster called the Great Newt, that lives on the mountain, and he summons a new Ayakashi named Nudo, and assigns him the mission to go to the Great Newt, and make it leave its nest, and head toward the Empire, to attack the palace. And at that moment Sika defeats it and proves his power in front of everyone. And Sika's plan succeeds, and when Gleis returns to the Empire, and learns what Sika did, he prepares a great banquet in celebration of him, because he was able to defeat the Great Newt, and also because today is his birthday, and Sika sees for the first time a look of respect and pride in the eyes of Gleis and Roth toward him, and as usual a look of anger and hatred from Gree on the other side. And here Gleis asks Sika, "How did you know that the Great Newt's weakness is fire?" And Sika answers him, that he read in the history of the city, and learned that Gleis used fire magic to exile the Great Newt to the mountain long ago. And at that moment Gleis is impressed by Sika, and gives him the freedom to choose the appropriate reward for him. And of course Sika will not find a better opportunity than this, to ask to go to the Magic Academy. And Gleis agrees that he goes to take the academy tests, and if he succeeds he will let him become a student there. And Sika does not settle for that request, and asks that Eva goes to the tests with him. And Gleis tells him that in case she does not have magical ability it will be impossible, so Sika asks Eva to show Gleis part of her power, and of course this makes Eva nervous, but Sika reassures her, and gives her the magic staff, and asks her to summon her inner power, so that she can go with him to the academy, and say the incantation loudly, and show her great power to everyone present. And indeed Eva succeeds in impressing all those present, and Gleis agrees that Eva goes to take the academy test. And immediately Gree becomes angry and reminds Gleis that the law forbids two brothers from going to the academy together. And Gleis replies to him that for that reason he will send him to the army. And of course the reply is enough to shock Gree, and make him extremely angry, and he asks that they do a fight between him and Sika, and the winner of them is the one who goes to the academy, and Gleis agrees to Gree's suggestion, even though he is certain of the result of this fight, but he decides that tomorrow will be the day of the confrontation between them, and he will be the judge to determine the winner. And on that night, when Sika is in his room preparing to sleep, he is surprised by someone knocking on his door, and when he opens it, he finds his brother Roft, and he brought him a gift, and tells him that he did not forget that today is his birthday, and this makes Sika happy, because it is the first time someone remembers that day, and also brings him a gift, and he thanks Roft for that. But before Roft leaves, he tells Sika that he is certain that he will win tomorrow's confrontation, and all he asks of him is that he does not hurt his brother, and Sika responds to his request and promises him that. And after Roft leaves, Sika hears a strange sound, and is surprised by Gree using wind power to open his room window, and asks him to come down and face him now. Sika tells him that the competition is tomorrow, not now, but Gree insists in the peak of his anger, that they face each other now, so Sika fulfills his request, and agrees with him that if he beats him now he will go and withdraw from tomorrow's confrontation in front of Gleis, and Sika will be the winner of the confrontation. And Gree agrees and they begin the confrontation, and Gree creates a vortex of fire around Sika, enough to kill him, but he is surprised that the moment the fire goes out, Sika is unharmed and not injured, not even with a small scratch, and this makes Gree very angry, and makes him launch a large number of consecutive attacks at Sika, with wind and fire powers, but Sika has created a protective barrier around him, and prevents any of Gree's attacks from touching him. And Sika uses his power to bind Gree with the shiki with him, and Gree is surprised that he cannot move, and Sika presses on the shiki's hand, and at that moment Gree feels extreme pain as if his arm is broken, and Sika takes advantage of the situation and forces Gree to surrender, and announce his withdrawal from the competition the next day, and of course Gree cannot resist him after being defeated so easily. And indeed Gree announces the next day his withdrawal, and Sika and Eva head on their way to the academy, and this is Sika's first step in achieving the goal that he has been preparing for a long time, and when they arrive, they find a magical power test, a crystal that reveals the latent magical energy in a person, the moment he brings his hand close to it, and Sika and Eva go to take that test, and when Eva tries, the crystal reveals that she has very little energy, of fire and wind power, and when it is Sika's turn and he extends his hand toward the crystal, it gives no response or reaction. Of course this is because Sika has no magical power inside him, and the academy students begin to speak out loud, that Sika is here without merit, because he is the son of Glaze the Emperor of Lambrog land, not because he is a powerful magician. But the people's talk is interrupted by Amayo, who steps forward confidently to participate in the test, and the moment Sika sees her, he feels an attraction toward her, as if he knows her or there is a bond between them, and the surprise comes when Amio extends her hand toward the crystal, and the crystal glows with a very intense light, and it is revealed that she has the powers of all elements, and this amazes everyone present at the test, including Sika, who decides that he must try to get to know Amio, because she is very powerful and will surely benefit him, besides that he wants to know the secret of his attraction to her, so Sika calls out to her. But Amio treats him with indifference, and tells him that he is just someone who entered the academy without deserving it, just because he is the son of Emperor Glaze, but he is merely a powerless and weak child. As for Glaze, he is worried, and remembers the secret that he has hidden from everyone, that Sika is not his son, and that his mother died while giving birth to him, as he told everyone, and the truth is that Sika is the son of Gilbert, Glaze's brother. So Glaze was the son who took the throne, and his brother Gilbert was the one who went to the Magic Academy, and Gilbert had a goal, which was to explore the world, and to live the adventure, and he began to achieve his goal the moment he graduated from the academy, but Gilbert disappeared in one of his adventures, and left his son Sika to Glaze, and Sika's very powerful abilities make Glaze afraid of the truth of Sika. Is he really human, or a demon, or a very powerful new creature? And he fears Sika's presence in the Empire, because he will either be a hero who saves the Empire and protects it from any harm, or he will be the greatest harm to the Empire. And Sika goes to begin his tests, which are divided into two types, a theoretical test, and a practical test, and the theoretical test for him is a very easy test, and he heads to the practical test, which consists of training stones. And what is required from him, when his turn comes, is to display his magic and deliver his strongest strike at the training stone, to prove their strength, and Sika watches the students begin one after another in showing their power, and this is under the supervision of their teacher Cordell, and he tests each student one by one until it becomes Eva's turn, and she starts aiming at the first target, with a very powerful fire strike, that deforms the training stone. And immediately Eva apologizes to teacher Cordell for damaging the training stone, and Cordell is surprised because the stone is resistant to fire, but he tells her to continue the test, and Eva goes to the next training stone and delivers consecutive strikes with wind power, strikes that are enough to completely destroy that stone, and this happens amid astonishment from the students at Eva's power, because she possesses very great power in two different magics, unlike most students, who possess power in only one magic. After Eva comes Sika's turn, who goes to the first target stone and delivers a powerful strike of blue flame, that ignites the entire stone. Then he goes to the second target, and manages to completely destroy it, through a type of metal, and of course this is something very strange, that teacher Cordell and the students stand before unable to determine the type of magic at all. Then Sika heads to the next target, and strikes it with large amounts of water, and then turns that water into a giant ice mass that is enough to destroy the stone. And Sika is satisfied with testing only 3 powers and ends his test, and signs of astonishment appear on the faces of everyone present, and they realize that Sika was not weak as they thought. At the end of the day, the field becomes empty and no one remains except teacher Cordell, and a dialogue takes place between him and another female teacher, who asks him about the level of the new students at the academy. And he tells her that the new students possess very great and strange powers as well, so she tells him that she heard about the extent of the power of the son of Emperor Glaze and his servant. But he surprises her and tells her imagine that although they are very powerful, there was nevertheless a student stronger than them, who was able to destroy all the training stones with different powers. So she replies that this student must certainly be Amio, and Amio is the student with red hair and green eyes who possesses all types of magical powers, in addition to being skilled in sword combat as well. And she continues her words and tells him that she has all the signs that indicate she is the heroine of this generation. And Cordell is surprised, because he thought that the story of the heroine has no basis in truth, and that it is a legend not real, just stories told to children. But the teacher tells him that the existence of Amio is the greatest proof that it is not just a legend. After days, the academy announces the results of the tests and all the students head to the training field to see the result, and when Sika and Eva go to see it, Sika looks at the first place holder, and what he expects happens that it is taken by Amio, the owner of great power in all types of magic, but the surprise comes when he looks at the second place, because he finds it belongs to Eva and he comes after her in third place, and this shocks Eva and Sika, and also makes Sika embarrassed, because the one he trained was able to surpass him in ranking. But he tells her that he is very proud of her, but the most important thing is that they were all accepted into the academy in the end. Sika and Eva wear the official academy uniform, and they are heading to the annual academy celebration, which includes a banquet, and a student delivering a speech to the rest of the students. But while they are going to the celebration, Sika and Eva see a large group of dark spirits, and they follow them to find a very large magic circle, and Eva tells Sika that she feels danger from this magic circle, so Sika tells her that he feels the same feeling, and for that reason he spreads his enchanted paper in the area, and tells her to continue their way to the celebration, and when they go they find the place very large, and filled with a large amount of food, and they begin eating. Amio goes up on the stage, because she is the student who will deliver the speech to the rest of the students, and while she is delivering her speech to the students, her words are interrupted by the demons storming the celebration hall, causing panic among everyone present in the place, and the teachers try to repel the demons, but they fail to do so, and one of the demons is about to defeat one of the teachers, before Amio stops it with a strike from her sword. And then Amio begins fighting the demons alone. At that time Sika feels that something is wrong, and he begins to see everything happening in the academy, through his magical paper that he released in the place, and indeed his feeling proves correct. When he finds the magic circle glowing with light, and a huge demon named Gallius standing there, Sika understands at that moment that he is the one controlling the rest of the demons, and he asks Eva to take care of herself until he returns, and Sika disappears in the blink of an eye. Immediately Sika uses teleportation magic and appears in front of Gallius, interrupting his spells and challenging him and describing him as foolish, because he came to attack the Magic Academy. But Gallius does not care to challenge a powerless human child, and Gallius summons demons from his assistants to attack and kill him. But he finds that Sika was able to defeat all the demons, and even imprison one of them to become an assisting Ayakashi for him. And Gallius is amazed by Sika's power, and decides that he will face him himself. Sika has a basic rule in order to defeat any enemy, which is to study his opponent and try to know his weakness. So for that reason Sika tries to deliver a set of fire attacks to him, which he finds have no effect on him, and he realizes that this is not the weapon that will make him win this battle. Then it becomes Gallius's turn to attack, and he strikes him with an axe and Sika manages to evade it, but Gallius uses teleportation magic to surprise Sika with a strike from behind. That is enough to sever Sika's arm, and he tells Sika that he will kill him because he came for specific goals, which are to find the heroine. Sika is surprised and asks him, "Are you looking for the heroine who is a character from legendary tales?" But Gallius mocks Sika and describes him as knave, because the heroine is real and exists in the academy right now as well. And at that moment Sika realizes that Gallius is here to reach Amio, but Gallius decides to kill Sika and go look for Amio, and indeed he attacks Sika and manages to cut off his head, and heads toward the celebration hall to reach Amio. But he is surprised by Sika appearing again, which makes him furious, and he delivers a powerful strike with the axe that pierces Sika's head. But he returns to life again as well, and this time he summons the Ayakashi Ryo, who is a giant blue dragon, and makes him attack Gallius and devour him immediately, and the battle ends. But Sika deduces that Gallius did not know about Amio's existence on his own, and that there must be someone directing him and telling him the heroine's location. When Sika returns to the hall, he finds that Amio, as he expected, was able to defeat all the demons that attacked them alone, and here Sika decides that he must be a friend to Amio, and help her become the strongest, since she is the legendary heroine. Because his mistake in the previous world was that he was the strongest in the world. But in this world, he learned from his mistake. He does not want to be the strongest so that he does not gain the enmity of the entire world, and he will be an assistant to Amio who will be the strongest in the world, even though this will pose a danger to Amio's life. But what matters to him is that he learns from his mistake in the previous world. After a period, the students continue their studies at the academy normally, and Sika still has his plan in mind to get to know Amio, so he tries to talk to her again in order to get to know her. But again, the moment he greets her, Amio asks him not to talk to her at all again, and this is a very embarrassing situation for Sika, but he and Eva continue on their way, and he intends that he will try again with Amio. But while they are walking, Sika senses danger, and there is a large amount of demon blood that is about to fall on them. But Sika uses his power and teleports himself and Eva away from the blood, but the blood soaks one of Sika's magic papers, and this demon blood was coming from Teacher Cordell, who was using magic to transport a large amount of demon blood from experiments to an upper floor, without making much effort carrying it, and he comes down to check that Sika and Eva are okay, and apologizes to them for that mistake. But Sika and Eva continue walking and actually begin their school day normally. And after they finish the lecture, the teacher announces that they will send 2 students on an exploratory adventure in the forest, and these 2 students are the top 2 students in the test ranking, who are Amio and Eva. Sika is surprised because the forest is the place where he fought Gallius, and he asks the teacher what would happen if one of the 2 chosen apologized, and the teacher tells him that in that case she will take the 3rd place holder, who is Sika, and this makes him ask Eva to apologize, so that he can go instead of her. And when Eva asks him about the reason, he tells her that the forest is the place where they found the magic circle together, and that the place is very dangerous, and that he wants to go in order to protect Amio, and because this will be a good way for them to get to know each other, since Amio would be a very strong addition to him and Eva. And indeed, Eva apologizes for attending and Sika goes in her place, and Sika begins his journey with Amio. And while they are walking, Sika finds another magic circle, but this time smaller than the previous one, so Sika and Amio approach it to explore it, and suddenly this magic circle grows and pulls them into it, and transports them to an underground tunnel, and the moment they look around, they find an attack from 3 demons, and immediately Amio fights them and kills them, and she is surprised when a 4th one larger than them appears suddenly, and at that moment Sika is the one who kills it before it touches her. And Amio tells Sika that this vortex was a trap and we fell into it, and what is required from them now is to search for a way out. And of course this tunnel, since it is a trap, it is full of demons, and while they were searching for a way to escape, a large number of demons attack them, and Amio by her nature loves fighting alone, and she quickly goes to start fighting them by herself, but this time, she takes a powerful hit from one of them, which is enough to make her get badly injured and lose consciousness. Sika takes advantage of her losing consciousness, to be able to use his power freely, and he summons one of the Ayakashi, who is able to kill all the demons very quickly. And then he begins healing Amio's wounds, of course using his magic, and when Amio wakes up, she begins to admit that Sika truly has power, and did not enter the academy just because he is the son of Emperor Glaze, and she thanks him for saving her. But Amio feels pain in her head, so Sika suspects that someone placed a curse on her, and he creates a barrier around them that prevents curses, and asks her if she feels better, and indeed she tells him that the pain is gone. And Sika confirms that it was indeed a curse, and when he asks her about when she started feeling this pain, she tells him since the day of the demon fight during the celebration I have been feeling pain in my head, and this further confirms Sika that Gallius was not actually the mastermind behind what happened, and that he was merely a tool, and the mastermind is still alive, and will surely try again to make plans to harm Amio. After that, a conversation takes place between Sika and Amio, about Amio's past, and she tells him that she was raised in a house in a village, and her father was an adventurer, and since her childhood she loved fighting very much, and her dream is to become an adventurer one day like her father and explore the whole world, and enter adventures every day, which is something opposite to the nature of girls, and for that reason everyone sees her as strange. But Sika replies to her, I do not see you as strange. On the contrary, I see you as having a great dream and goal. And here Amio begins to accept Sika and her view of him changes. And they agree to continue trying to find an exit from the tunnel. But they will work together with a teamwork plan and fight together. And indeed they continue their way and defeat the demons one after another, until they reach the last demon, who is their leader, and Amio tells Sika that they will not be able to defeat him with just the two of them, and that it is better for them to look for another way to escape. But Sika reassures her that they will be able to defeat him together, and asks her to trust him, and after several attempts convincing her, Amio agrees, and they surprise the demon and rush at him quickly, and immediately Sika uses his magic, and strikes him with a huge wooden stake, while Amio comes from behind him and delivers strikes with wind power that draw his attention. Then Sika appears again, and fires a huge metal stake into the demon's head, and after that it is Amio's turn and she delivers a fire strike. That is enough to explode the metal stake, and she strikes him with her sword, which is the straw that breaks the camel's back, and indeed they defeat the demon. And Amio is happy, because it is the first time she defeats a demon leader, and Sika praises her and tells her that all of this is thanks to her power, to make her trust herself more. And after that they continue their way to find an old sword in the tunnel and beside it a ring, and he tells Amio to take it for herself, and this makes Amio happy, and Sika keeps the ring to give it to Eva, as thanks to her for listening to him and apologizing for attending. And after that Amio and Sika exit the tunnel, and Sika promises Amio that this will not be their last adventure together, and they will surely meet many times again, because they were a very strong team. But Sika does not stop there, and after Amio leaves him, he searches to know who is the mastermind behind all of this, who is trying to kill Amio, and placed a curse on her whose goal no one knows. It must be someone who knows that she is the heroine, and someone who is in the academy to set all these traps for her, and also guide her toward these traps, like sending her to explore the forest where there was a trap. Sika learns from his magic paper that he spread in the academy, that there were traces of pollen from one of the plants that were near the magic gate, on the clothes of Teacher Cordell, and when he connects all the evidence, he realizes that Teacher Cordell is the only one that all the evidence points to, and Sika goes to his office, and tells him, you know that Amio is still alive. So Cordell is surprised and tells him, I do not understand what you are talking about. So Sika tells him, I know everything, and I know that you are the one behind the first demon attack, and I also know that you are the one who set up the demon tunnel trap for them, and you did all of that to kill Amio, because you know that she is the heroine. So Cordell laughs and praises Sika, because he turned out to be smarter than he expected, but he tells him that he placed a curse on Amio when he sent the demons to her and she managed to kill them all, and she was covered with demon blood. He placed a curse that affects whoever is covered with demon blood. And he tells him that Amio by now should be dead because his curse kills the person who has demon blood on them, and it appears as if he died from an illness and not by murder. But Sika already knew this long ago, and surprises him with his magic paper, which was soaked with demon blood, when he dropped demon blood on him and Eva. And he tells him that his curse killed the magic paper, and Amio is still alive normally, and Sika summons the Ayakashi demon, whom he had imprisoned in the Gallius battle, and explodes him, and Sika becomes covered in that demon's blood, so that the curse transfers to him, and then he uses his power to reflect the curse back to the one who cast it, and suddenly Cordell begins bleeding from his entire body, and bleeds heavily until he dies, and with that Sika manages to secure Amio's life in the academy. After a year passes for them in the academy, Sika and Eva and Amio become friends, the three of them, and they form something similar to a group combat team between each other. And when the time comes for the new students to enter, an invitation comes with it for Sika and Eva, so that they go to the academy director, and when they go the director tells Sika that she heard about his great power throughout the year that he stayed in the academy, and for that reason she wants one of them to represent the academy in the Empire Combat Tournament, which the academy is allowed to participate in with 2 of its students, and the winner will receive a very huge financial prize, and will also join the Royal Guard. But Sika is surprised, and asks her about the reason for participating with only one of them, while it is allowed to participate with 2. And here the director introduces him to Mabel, And Mabel is one of the new students in the academy, but she possesses very great power, and because of that she was able to reserve one of the 2 spots for herself. And the second spot is for one of them, the 2, Sika or Eva, but Sika agrees to participate himself with Mabel. And Sika and Eva go to tell Amio what happened, and Amio feels jealous because they preferred 3 people over her, Sika, Eva and Mabel. And Amio gets angry and tells them that Mabel is definitely one of the important people's children in the empire, and they made this whole tournament just to justify appointing her to the royal guard, not because she has power or anything. But Mabel suddenly appears and challenges Amio, and tells her to try to fight her with the sword without using magic, and then she will know if she is really strong, or came here, because she is the daughter of someone important in the empire. And indeed Amio and Mabel face each other, and the strange thing is that Mabel manages to defeat Amio, but Sika notices that Mabel used magic very quickly, so that no one notices, but Sika and Amio both notice that, and here Amio decides that she will go to the tournament with them, because she wants to watch Mabel, and see what kind of magic she uses that gives her the advantage. And the 4 go from the academy, Sika and Mabel as participants, and Amio and Eva as supporters. And they arrive at the arena and each contestant enters the room where he prepares, and Eva and Amio are sitting with the audience, and it is the first match in the entire tournament, between Sika and one of the rogue mages, and the match begins and the mage attacks Sika, to strike him with a strong sword blow, and Sika uses teleportation magic, and changes his position, and appears behind the mage, and strikes him with a wind-powered blow. That is enough to knock him out of the combat arena, and make him lose consciousness, and Sika is careful that he wins all of his matches, but without killing anyone. And Sika goes to watch the rest of the matches next to Eva and Amio, and they watch the second match, in which Sika gets introduced to one of the strongest participants in the tournament. And he is Kyle, and Kyle is one of the guards of the Merchant Guild. This is all the information they know about him. But the magic he will use is unknown and his power is also unknown, and Kyle faces a water mage in his first match, and as soon as the fight begins, we find that the water mage is unable to move, and the features of his face are filled with fear, and Kyle calmly walks toward him, and strikes him with the sword without any resistance, and wins the fight very quickly, and here Sika feels that something is wrong, and notices that Kyle's facial expressions did not change at all, and this makes Sika even more confused. We continue in the battle rounds, but this time with Mabel, who is facing one of the Earth Mages, and the confrontation begins with the Earth Mage launching a rocky strike at Mabel, and she manages to split it into 2 with a single swing of her sword, and the Mage's rocky attacks keep coming, but they are completely useless against Mabel, so he creates a set of protective shields to defend himself from Mabel's blows, but Mabel manages to shatter them all, using the dagger she throws at them, which are enough to bring those walls down. At that moment, Sika is able to figure out Mabel's technique in using rapid magic, and Amio asks him to explain her technique to her. So he tells her that she uses gravity magic to make her weapons much heavier than their original weight, so they are enough to destroy anything in front of them, even an unbreakable rock shield, and Amio is surprised and asks him how she is able to carry those weapons, even though she turns them with gravity into something extremely heavy, and Sika replies that it requires a lot of training, to make the object, whether a sword, an arrow, or a dagger, have an extremely light mass while she is holding it, but as soon as she throws them, she increases their mass at the right moment so that the strike becomes extremely powerful, compared to the little effort she exerts to deliver the blow, and that this is the same technique Mabel used to defeat her in the confrontation that brought them together at the academy. We return again to Amio's confrontation with the Earth Mage, where Amio attacks him, and leaves the sword at the Earth Mage's neck, to give him a chance to surrender and not force her to hurt him, and he indeed surrenders and they announce Mabel as the winner of the confrontation, and when Mabel wins, she hears people chanting that she is the red-haired heroine. So Sika is surprised by what he hears, because he knows that Amio is the heroine of this generation, so he asks Eva and Amio about the reason that makes them call Mabel the heroine, and Amio tells him because she is strong, and because her hair is red as the legend says, and also her name is Mabel, and Mabel is the name of the second legendary heroine in history, and she also uses the same weapon, and because of that people are almost certain that she is the heroine of this era. But at that moment Sika connects some of the threads together. At that time, his magic papers that he had spread in the city reveal to him that there is an agent corresponding with the demons, and sending them messages through carrier pigeons. And while he was sending a message to the demons, Sika appears to him suddenly, and asks him about his purpose in speaking with the demons. But he denies that he knows any demons, and Sika tells him that he has many questions that he needs him to answer. But he replies that he does not have time to waste with a child like him, so Sika uses his power to bring out plants from the ground, which are able to bind that agent. And Sika tells him that he will leave him in exchange for telling him what he was trying to say to the demons. But the agent tells him that he will not say anything. No matter how much he tortures him or even if he kills him, he will die without giving him any information. And this forces Sika to summon a new Ayakashi, named Satori, and Satori is a giant monster somewhat resembling a gorilla but more terrifying in appearance, and he has the ability to read human thoughts. And here Sika asks the agent who is leading him, and to whom he is sending the information he gathers, and Satori tells them that they are Baron Pol Bovis, and the Grand Duke Identrad. And Sika asks him whether those two are demons, and Satori answers that they are demons, in the demon region in the northeast at the borders of the Empire. And Satori reads that this agent is here to monitor one of the contestants, named Mabel, who is supposed to be the heroine. So Sika is satisfied with this information, and gives Satori permission to take his reward and eat the agent, and after that Satori returns to his world again. And here Yuki appears, and asks Sika about what he understood. So he tells her that the Academy sent Mabel as a fake heroine in order to protect Amio, the real heroine. But he still does not know why they chose for Sika to go with Mabel. And that is what he will try to find out in the coming days. We go to the second round in the competition, which is between Sika and a giant anti-magic rock monster, controlled by a sorceress, and as soon as the match begins Sika decides to end it quickly, and he summons an extremely fast Ayakashi, its speed equal to the speed of light, in order to come out and fight the rock monster, and he manages to destroy it in the blink of an eye, and because of the Ayakashi's great speed, people think that he defeated the monster with wind magic, and the sorceress stands there extremely astonished at what happened, but she surrenders, and they announce that the winner is Sika, who is happy that no one noticed his use of the Ayakashi, because summoning Ayakashi in this competition is forbidden, and that was something that could have gotten him disqualified if they had discovered it. And Sika, Mabel, and Kyle continue in the competition, and they win the confrontations one after another, until they reach the semifinals, in which there will be a confrontation between Sika and Mabel, and Kyle and a knight named Renus, and Renus is distinguished by high combat ability, and also various magical abilities, and when they announce the confrontation between Sika and Mabel, Mabel goes and warns Sika, and advises him to withdraw from the confrontation, so that she does not have to kill him, but Sika refuses and tells her that if she wants to win the competition, she has to pass the semifinals. And in order to pass the semifinals she must defeat him, because he will not withdraw. We see the first semifinal confrontation between Kyle and Renus, and the confrontation between Sika and Mabel will be the next day immediately, and they are present to see who the winner is who will face them in the final in case they win. And the confrontation begins with consecutive strikes from Renus using all kinds of power, but he is surprised that Kyle is not harmed at all, and he begins to advance toward Renus. So Renus uses earth magic to create many assistants from rocks to attack Kyle, but Kyle manages to defeat them immediately using dark magic, so Renus attacks Kyle quickly, but Kyle uses his usual magic that allows him to paralyze his opponent, and makes him fixed in place, but before he stabs him with the sword and kills him, the referee announces the end of the confrontation with Kyle's victory, so that Kyle becomes the first side in the final, waiting for the winner between Sika and Mabel. And on the same night Sika is sleeping in his room, but he knows from his magic paper that he has released in the city that Mabel is about to storm his room, and she indeed storms the room, and lunges at Sika, and they fall from the room and land on the ground in the street, and Mabel throws her daggers at Sika, who manages to dodge them, and the loud sound of the fight in the street attracts one of the citizens, and that allows Mabel to escape immediately, because she realizes that Sika is stronger than she had imagined, After Mabel escapes from the confrontation, she goes to sit and think alone, but Sika walks after her until she stops, and he appears to her to talk with her. And Mabel thinks that he came to continue the confrontation and prepares for a fight. But Sika calms her and tells her, "I did not come to fight, I just want to know, why do you want to win tomorrow's confrontation so badly?" But Mabel refuses and tells him angrily, "You better try to withdraw, because every time you make me more angry at you. And that is something that will not make me hold myself back from killing you tomorrow." So Sika replies to her, "I will answer my question. You want to win because you were sent to pretend to be the heroine. They made you a fake heroine, so that the demons focus on you and hide the truth, that Amio is the real heroine." Here Mabel looks with a look of sadness and surrender, and tells him, "You are smart, because you figured out all that. But you still do not have the full truth, because she is not here to win the championship, and make people think that she is the heroine, and that she won the championship. She is here to lose the championship to Kyle, and not lose a normal loss. Kyle must kill her in the arena in front of the people, so that the demons think that the heroine is finally dead and stop fearing her." She continues her words and tells him the story started with her, when they were homeless children in the street, without food or drink or a house to live in, and they did not have anything. And when the merchants found them, they decided to take the two of them and raise them and teach them fighting. And they took them and also took 2 more children to raise them, but the merchants were not that kind. After we grew up a little, they saw the strongest one among us, which was Kyle, and they cast a spell on his mind. That spell turns him into a servant for them and strips him completely of his emotions. He does not feel joy, he does not feel sadness, and he does not even feel fear. And after they do that, they test whether he truly became their servant, and will do anything they order him to do. And the first order is that he kills the 3 children who were training with him. And Kyle indeed killed the other 2, but the merchants told him not to kill Mabel now, and to benefit from her death instead of killing her for nothing. And they dye her hair red to convince people that she is the heroine, especially since she is strong in magic and combat. And when she meets Kyle in the end, he kills her, and that way the demons are deceived and think that the heroine died. And at the same time, the character they control, which is Kyle, becomes famous and was able to defeat the heroine. After Sika hears that, he is surprised at her surrender, and why she does not resist and try to defeat Kyle, or even try to escape. But Mabel tells him that all of that is useless. No matter how she tries to escape, the merchants will be able to reach her and kill her, and she will not be able to kill Kyle, because he is her brother who was with her for a long time, but they changed him and made him like that. So because of that, Mabel asks Sika to lose to her in their confrontation, so that she can complete what is required of her, and that is it. But Sika refuses and tells her, "I will also defeat you tomorrow, and when I meet your brother Kyle in the final, I will defeat him as well, and I will kill him too." Because Kyle, her brother, died from the moment they controlled his mind, and the one who exists now is not her brother. He is a machine of destruction and killing, and he must die. As for the story of the merchants, Sika reassures her that no one will be able to harm her, and that he will protect her against any number. And he tells her that in the next 2 confrontations he will prove to her that he is the strongest, and that he will be able to protect her, and their appointment is tomorrow in the arena. On the next day, the confrontation between Sika and Mabel begins, and Mabel looks with a look of challenge while Sika looks with confidence. And with the starting whistle, Mabel lunges at Sika very quickly with many consecutive strikes with the axe, but Sika manages to dodge them. Then she aims a large number of daggers at him, but Sika also creates a shield that is able to stop them. And after that, he uses his magic on Mabel's axe, making it very heavy to the point that she cannot lift it. Then he brings out wooden plants from under the ground that are able to bind Mabel, and he goes toward her and takes her axe and points it toward her. And that move is enough for the referee to announce the end of the confrontation between them, and Sika's victory, so that Sika qualifies for the final to face Kyle. And indeed, the time of the confrontation between Kyle and Sika comes, and Kyle uses the time before the start of the confrontation to ask him, "Is Mabel still alive after your confrontation with her?" And Sika answers him that she is still alive, and she will continue her life at the academy as a student of magic. Kyle feels reassured and says, "Good, so that I can kill her myself as it is supposed to happen." Sika is surprised and tells him, "Do you hate your sister that much and want to kill her?" So Kyle tells him, "I do not hate her, on the contrary I love her very much, but I was ordered to do that, so I will do it no matter what happens." And at that moment Sika knows that there is no hope in discussing with Kyle, and that his mind is indeed completely controlled. As soon as the confrontation begins, Sika casts a spell that releases red smoke in the arena that blocks vision, so that none of the audience can see them completely, and Sika uses his usual strategy of probing the opponent to know his weak points, and he tries a blue flame sphere, but it does not affect him at all, and he notices that Kyle is using protection magic, so he brings out from the ground the same wooden plants that he used to defeat Mabel. But a bomb of magical energy explodes them and frees Kyle once again, and he tries to strike Sika, but he creates a protective shield with which he blocks the strike. So Sika decides to summon a new Ayakashi, which is Ushioni. And this Ayakashi resembles demons, and his body is huge and very powerful, stronger than any magical power in this world. And because Kyle is completely stripped of emotions, he is not afraid of him and tries to strike Ushioni, and that greatly angers him, and makes him hit him with a strong blow enough to throw him far away and make him lose consciousness. The Ayakashi returns to his world and Sika goes toward Kyle, and Kyle is taking his last breaths and asks Sika to deliver his apology to Mabel. Sika decides that he will use tremendous and very powerful force to save Kyle and bring him back to life. And here Yuki appears to him and warns him that, by doing that, he will reveal very great power in front of the people once again, and he will repeat the same mistake he made in the previous world. So Sika remembers his defeat in the past world and withdraws from his decision. When the smoke disappears, the confrontation ends, and they announce Sika's victory of the entire championship. And of course Sika takes the monetary reward, but he apologizes for working in the Royal Guard, in order to continue his studies at the academy. Sika goes to meet Mabel and tell her about what happened, and that he tried to save Kyle, but he was already dead from a long time ago. Kyle died from the moment they controlled his mind, and he comforts Mabel, who is collapsing from crying after she knows what happened, and when she recovers from the shock she asks Sika about what she is supposed to do now, and Sika answers her, "You will do the plan that we agreed on. You will continue your studies at the academy, and you will live your life as a student at the Magic Academy normally, and he will protect her." He introduces her to Amio and Eva so that they become friends and tells them about her story, but without telling them about the heroine matter, because he does not want Amio to know that now. But due to Amio's challenging nature, she asks Mabel to compete with her with the sword once again, but this time after Amio trained by herself to develop her strength. And when the competition begins, Amio uses the power she learned from Mabel in changing the gravity of weapons, and she manages to break Mabel's sword and win the confrontation. And she tells her, like this, "We can become one team and friends," and she shakes her hand. When they reach the academy, Mabel returns her hair to its natural color, after she finished her role in pretending to be the heroine, which they all admire. And Mabel prepares to begin her life in studying and asks Sika about what she is supposed to do. But he reassures her and tells her, "Do not worry, I will personally follow your studies." Sika uses an Ayakashi to transport him quickly to the top of the mountain to the dragon, and after that he sends it back to its world again, and he advances toward the dragon's nest to explore what is happening there. And when he arrives, he calls out to the dragon to wake it from its sleep. So the dragon is surprised and rises while annoyed, because a human dared to enter all the way here, and he tries to burn Sika with flames he releases from his mouth, but Sika uses a protective shield that protects him from the dragon's flames, and after that the dragon attacks Sika. But he uses teleportation magic and changes his place very quickly. And he summons an Ayakashi whose shape is rocky, and whose size is very small, of course, compared to the dragon. That Ayakashi has a special ability, that its scream has very high frequencies, and when it screams it is able to knock the dragon down, and that allows Sika to use his magical power to create a giant net on the dragon that hinders his movement, and he is able to explore his nest freely. When Sika enters the nest, he indeed finds a giant egg in the nest, and that explains the changes in the dragon's behavior in the recent period. And while he is standing in front of the egg, Yuki appears and asks him how the dragon has an egg while he is a male dragon. So Sika answers her that there are many animals that are able to change their gender, in order to adapt to the surrounding environment, and continue living on the planet. And of course that is a process that takes a long time to happen, and the dragon had been doing it from the moment the female dragon died. So Sika now understands that the legends of the land of Easteria are not just legends. Rather, many of them are true, like the story of the Queen of Easteria, who one of the dragon eggs hatched in her hands. So the dragon now is doing his role toward the people of Easteria, and can protect them, and help them, but now he is waiting for their role in helping his egg to hatch. And because of that, Sika decides to think of a way to make it hatch. After some thinking, Sika moves the egg from its place, and begins to light a fire around it, so that it is exposed to good heat that helps the egg to hatch. And here the dragon becomes reassured toward Sika. So Sika removes the net that he had made around the dragon. So the dragon enters his nest and sleeps while reassured toward Sika. And not only that, but when Sika tries to leave, the dragon holds him and hugs him with his tail. At that moment Sika knows that the dragon's behavior has begun to return once again. Here Sika decides to test how peaceful the dragon is now, so he rides the dragon and flies with him toward Easteria and goes to the royal palace. And everyone there is surprised when they see Sika riding the dragon and controlling him, as if he is his leader. And Sika tells them that he has formed a friendship with the dragon already, but he has not finished his mission completely yet. He needs a mage with him who knows how to use fire magic to help him in hatching the egg, and he asks Eva to do that, and she becomes happy because she feels that she will help Sika. So she goes to ride the dragon behind him, and they fly very fast on their way to the dragon's nest on the mountain. And when they arrive, Sika takes Eva to show her the dragon's egg. But their talk is interrupted by Zekt, who casts the summoning spell of the giant stone tiger. And Sika takes a quick reaction and brings out an ice shield from under the ground that repels the tiger's attack. And here Sika becomes angry and tells Zekt, "I have already controlled the situation, and now your presence is useless." But Zekt mocks him and tells him, "I came here to kill the dragon and take his egg in return." And now Sika is the one who is obstructing his plan that he agreed on with Cecilio, and he orders the tiger to attack Eva and Sika once again. But this time Eva uses water magic and releases a large amount of water with a very strong force, which is able to throw the tiger away. But it rises again, but this time the strike will come from Sika, and he strikes the tiger with a very powerful blow with a new type of flame whose color is white, which makes everyone stand astonished because it is the first time they see something like that. Only Zekt and some soldiers he brought to fight Sika remain, and as soon as the dragon stands to fight them, they all flee quickly except Zekt, and he tries to cast another spell to kill the dragon and destroy the mountain. But Eva does not give him a chance and uses fire magic to burn his book, and Sika arrests all of them, and hands them over to Cecilio to imprison them. And thus Sika and Eva finish their mission in Easteria successfully, and they take a royal carriage to return them to the academy once again. Sika receives a message from his brother Ravd, that an important princess is coming to visit the Lambroj family palace, and the princess wants to meet him, and the girl with him at the academy, who can use all kinds of magic. So Sika goes to ask Amio if she would go with him to his home to visit, because there is a guest who wants to meet them. And Amio agrees but tells him they should all go, the four of them: Sika, Amio, Eva and Mabel. And Sika does not have a reason to refuse, so he agrees, and they all begin their way toward the palace. When they arrive at the palace, Ravd, Sika's brother, welcomes them, but they are interrupted by Gree calling out to Sika loudly in a tone as if he is shouting at him. And even though many years have passed, Gree is still Gree and has not changed, and he still remembers their last fight. And he asks him that they face each other in a sword duel without any magic, and whoever drops his sword first loses. So here Amio feels that Gree is arrogant, and that encourages her to go face him herself to break his arrogance. And she tells him, "Face me, and if you defeat me then face Sika. And in this round Sika will be the judge." Of course Gree agrees, and the fight between Gree and Amio begins, but Gree makes a trick and pretends that he is about to fall, so Amio stops her attack on him, and at that moment Gree takes advantage of the opportunity to suddenly strike her sword, and knock it out of her hand. And of course Amio objects because that is cheating, but Gree tells her, "We agreed I would defeat you and face Sika, that is Sika's turn." And before they begin their duel, Princess Fiona appears and tells Gree, "If I were you I would not enter this duel, Gree." So as soon as Grai hears her say that he withdraws from the duel, and Sika is surprised why he did that because it is against his nature. But what Sika does not know is that this princess has a supernatural ability that allows her to see the future. So when she advised Grai not to enter that fight, Grai immediately withdrew before the duel even started. They all go to sit in the palace, and Princess Fiona begins to get to know Amio. And she tells her that she has heard a lot about her, and heard about what she did in the Magic Academy exams. And here Fiona knows from Amio's appearance that she is the hero of this generation, because she looks the same as the hero she saw in the future. And Fiona thanks Sika for coming from the academy with his friends to welcome her, and she asks Sika about the possibility that they become part of her royal guard. But he tells her that they prefer to complete their path in the academy to the end, before making a decision about their future, or what they will do. So Fiona asks him that at least they stay with her while she tours the empire. So Sika agrees and tells her, so that their number will not be too large, he will go with her along with Amio and Grai, and that will be enough to protect her. And the next day they indeed go to tour the empire. And Fiona is very enjoying the atmosphere there, especially when she goes to the market with all the people, and eats from their popular food. And while they are walking, Fiona goes with Sika to an area under construction. And an accident happens, and there is a large amount of wood about to fall on the princess. But Grai uses the power of wind with a quick reaction to save the princess, and Amio uses earth magic to create a protective shield around the princess and save her, at a time when Sika did not take any reaction, and Grai and Amio blame him for that. But he tells them that he did not take a reaction because he knew they would act, the two of them. But when he looks toward the princess, she looks at him with a sad look as if he disappointed her. Because of course she saw the future and knew that this accident would happen, but she was waiting for Sika to be the one to defend her. So Sika feels guilty and decides to bring her a souvenir gift to make it up to her, and he buys her a hair ribbon from the market, and she is very happy with it, because this is the first time someone gives her a gift, so she feels a feeling she has never felt before at Sika's hand, and she is upset because she did not bring her mirror with her from the palace, because she really wanted to see herself. So Sika uses some of his magic to bring out a mirror from under the ground and lets her see herself. And she is very impressed with herself. And she thanks him for this gift, and tells him that she will keep it and never give it up ever. And they finish their tour like that and return again to the palace. And at the end of the day, Sika goes out to walk in the palace, so he finds Grai training diligently. So Sika goes to encourage him and tells him that this is certainly a justification for him to be the royal guard of Princess Fiona, and that he admires him and his strength that he is developing every day. But Grai is focused on his training, and does not give attention to Sika and asks him, but Sika has come to him, so he tells him that he will leave, but before he leaves he wants to know from him some information about Princess Fiona. So Grai tells him that she was born when the emperor married one of the witches. So Fiona became having royal blood and the blood of witches. But she was born with supernatural abilities like seeing the future. And here Sika is surprised when he knows that she sees the future, because that means she knew the accident that would happen while they were together, and went to test him. And that is why Grai listened to her when she told him not to face him, because he knew that he would lose. And Grai continues his words and tells Sika that Amio is the hero of this generation because she meets all the conditions, and that Fiona must have seen the future and known the hero and asked to meet Amio without a reason. And here Sika knows that he needs to sit with Fiona and explore her more to know the extent of her power, and to know what her plans are. And indeed, one day before Fiona's departure, Sika goes to sit with her on one of the palace balconies. And when he arrives, Fiona asks him to play a game of chess with her while they talk, and whoever loses will owe the other a request to fulfill. And Sika agrees even though he knows that he will lose, because it is almost impossible to defeat someone who can see the future in chess. But he wanted to talk with Fiona more. And while he sits talking with her for a while about her use of her power, Fiona tells him that yes, she sees the future, but she does not tell anyone about what she sees, because when she speaks the destiny changes. And that is something extremely dangerous, so she was trying to avoid talking with people. And after that Sika tries to ask her about the reason she wanted to see Amio. and she replies that she just told him that she cannot tell anyone anything about what she saw in the future, because that increases the danger not decreases it. And after a few minutes Sika actually loses in chess, so Fiona stands up but tells him that she has a request from him, and she will ask for it as they agreed, but not now. And on the next day it is time for Fiona to travel to return to her palace again. And Sika and his friends return to the academy, and they move from the Lambrog family palace with a very large number of carriages, and that is in order to hide Princess Fiona in any carriage among the carriages in case bandits attack them. And during the journey one of the empty carriages is indeed struck, and at that moment Sika goes out to see the situation, and he finds a large number of bandits attacking them. So he creates a huge black cloud around Princess Fiona's carriage, which makes them when they shoot their arrows at it all get repelled by the cloud. And one of the bandits tries to use earth magic to strike Sika, but he makes a shield that protects him from his strike and mocks how weak their magic is. Immediately Gree comes out of one of the carriages leading behind him a large army to fight those bandits, but Princess Fiona comes out of her carriage and asks Sika, and tells him I want to capture those bandits while they are alive. So Sika uses his power and brings out giant green plants from under the ground, and he is able to capture all the bandits easily as the princess requested. So Fiona calls Sika to meet her, and thanks him for being able to save her, and that she was confident in his great power, and that he could save her and stand before all of them alone. And Sika replies to her that it is an honor for him that he saved the princess. And he salutes her because he now understands that she brought all these carriages, because she knew that an attack would happen on her. And she chose to sit in that carriage, because she knew that it would not be the one the bandits would choose to strike. But there was a question in his mind, which is why did she not tell them to change the route? And why did she not kill them and wanted them alive? And when he asks her this question she replies that she will never be able to defeat her enemies if she keeps running away from them, and she wanted them alive in order to take them with her to the palace to imprison them and interrogate them, until she knows who sent them. So Sika realizes that Fiona is intelligent and knows how to make good plans. After a while they arrive at Princess Fiona's palace, and Sika and his friends get out to say goodbye to her before she enters the palace. And she is very upset that she will leave them, but she looks at Amio and tells her we will meet again soon, and Amio tells her certainly it is my honor. And Fiona shakes hands with Sika and tells him Sika, remember that I am always on your side. No matter what happens do not doubt me, I am on your side. And Sika smiles at her and tells her of course, and Fiona enters her palace while they continue their way to return to the academy. At that time there is a team consisting of 5 demons assigned with the mission of killing the hero, and they try to search for her everywhere. And those 5 consist of Madarev, who is a huge red demon, and has a great ability in fighting with his axe, and Bursalaria, whose body resembles girls, but she has an eye in the middle of her head, and has a very strong magical ability, and she does not stand and walk like us, but she is as if sleeping and floating in the air like that. And Loni, whose body shape is human with a rabbit head, and he can use summoning magic for monsters, and Gol Ganis, who is a huge demon and proficient in all magic powers, and he is also the brother of Gallius, whom Sika defeated in the forest. And finally their leader Zulmanim, whose appearance is human, but he has very great power to the extent that everyone denied that he could be human. And just as he has great magical abilities, he can use the sword in a very professional way. And the 5 had killed the people of an entire village, in order for them to tell them about the location of the hero. And there remains only the last citizen from that village, who is able to summon a very giant monster to fight them. And that giant delivers a strike with his giant axe at Zulmanim. But he blocks his strike and breaks his giant axe, all that with one touch from his sword. And Zulmanim jumps toward the giant to kill him, so the giant shoots from his eye a magical beam enough to destroy anything, but it does not affect Zulmanim, and he is able to reach him and cut his neck easily. And Madarev asks Zulmanim that if he will kill the remaining human to let him eat him while he is alive. So he allows him that, and orders them to continue their way to search for the hero. But Zulmanim had used a very large amount of energy, and that is something that makes Sika, after he arrived at the academy, feel the huge energy that is approaching them. And that is something that makes him stop suddenly, while he is surprised at the great energy that he is feeling. So Amio asks him if everything is fine, but he smiles at her and tells her no, everything is going perfectly fine. After days of walking, the demons arrive at the academy, and Zalmanim is surprised because there are no guards or any soldiers, or even any kind of resistance on the way to the academy. And he tells the rest of the demons that they must not be afraid, and they review their plan, which is that they will storm the academy and any student they see they will kill. And if someone sees a female student with the hero's specifications, he will make the signal to the others to bring her. And in case they do not find the hero, they will continue killing the students to force her to appear. And they are all excited to begin their plan, and Ganis uses teleportation magic to transport them all inside the academy. But when they enter, they are surprised by a thick red fog, which is enough that none of them can see the other, and they get separated. And we start with Madarev, who tries to walk in the fog toward the academy buildings. And while he is walking, he is surprised by a number of daggers being aimed at him, and Mabel suddenly appears before him, and asks him about the reason for their storming of the academy. But he mocks her because of her size and young age and her courage while she speaks to him. So Mabel gets angry and jumps and delivers a strong strike to him with her axe. But he blocks it with his weapon, and he returns the strike to her, but she manages to evade it. So he gets angry and strikes her with many consecutive blows, but she is fast enough to evade them all easily, and she strikes him with her axe again, and Madarev is surprised at how she is able to move with such agility with such a heavy axe. But he is pleased because he discovers that she is not an easy opponent as he thought, and the fight will have some fun, and he strikes her with a strong blow that makes the axe slip from her hand and fly away. So Mabel strikes him with some daggers that pierce his skin, and she casts a spell that releases energy from those daggers to kill him. But Madarev's body is resistant to magic, so it does not affect him, and he attacks her and strikes her with a strong blow, but he finds that she has suddenly disappeared. And Zalmanim gives them the signal to gather to him, because while they are separated, that is something that will weaken them greatly. And indeed they all gather, and Zalmanim tells them that he feels a great danger, and they must withdraw now. But Sika suddenly appears to them from behind while he is saying one of his spells, and tells them that they made a very big mistake when they decided to walk with their own feet all the way here. Madarev gets angry at Sika's arrogance and tells him in a shouting tone that he will kill him because he is just a weak child. But before he finishes his sentence, Sika cuts off his head by linking his soul to one of his papers with paper magic and cutting the head of the paper. And at that moment the remaining 4 demons are surprised and afraid by the ease of Madarev's death. Immediately Bersilaria gets angry and goes towards Sika to use the power of her evil eye against him, and Zalmanim tries to make her retreat from her recklessness, but she does not listen to him, and Sika summons Ayakashi in the form of a giant white snake that is able to make vibrations enough to stop Bersilaria's heart and kill her easily. And then it is Loni's turn to lose control as well, and he goes to put the snake to sleep magnetically and control it without Zalmanim's approval. But the snake deceives him and makes him think that he controlled it until he gets close to it, and then it attacks him and swallows him immediately. At that moment Zalmanim looks at Sika with a look of defeat, because he knows that Hiroshi has returned to life and been born again, and he blames himself for being very foolish and for the idea that this group could defeat him. And he orders Ganis to use teleportation magic and escape and tell them that the Demon King has been born again, but this time on the side of humans, and Sika uses his magic to pour a large amount of volcanic lava upon them that is enough to kill Zalmanim, while Ganis is able to escape and get out of the academy, and runs a bit far from it, until he thinks that he has hidden, and he is surprised by a wound forming in his chest, as if it is a sword, and it begins to widen and embed into his heart more until he dies, and that is because of linking his soul to one of his papers, which is not difficult for him to kill him in any place he goes, and thus Sika was able to defeat all the demons without even moving from his place. And on the next day the academy principal summons Sika to ask him to give the students a speech at the annual academy celebration, and of course Sika agrees. And at night at the party all the academy students are sitting eating from the banquet before Sika gives his speech. But suddenly soldiers from the Empire army storm the hall, and those soldiers come on a mission to arrest Amio. and they go to her and accuse her that she killed the demons who visited the academy yesterday. And that is something very dangerous that could start a war between humans and demons that they will not be able to handle. And of course Amio does not know what he is talking about, and she denies all of that. Amio tries to resist them along with Eva and Mabel, but Sika stops them, and reassures Amio and tells her, do not be afraid, you are innocent, go with them, and they will confirm that, and you will return again. And Amio listens to Sika's words and agrees to go with them. But she looks at Sika with a look full of fear, yet Sika is not afraid, because he is certain that she will return again even if he has to go rescue her himself. Sika heads to the principal to try to understand from her what happened, so she tells him that they indeed discovered that demons entered the academy yesterday, and disappeared inside it, and Amio is the only one capable of doing that, and of course this is something that angered the demons greatly, and is enough to be a declaration of war between humans and demons. So the government decided to arrest Amio and execute her as an apology to the demons so that they calm down and stop their plans to attack humans. But she tells Sika, I want you to be reassured, I will pressure the government, so that I can bring her back again without being harmed. And she asks him not to do anything, because anything he does will make the situation worse. So Sika gets upset, and asks her, how long will this pressure you will put on the government take? But after he reviews her words, he understands that she just wants him not to interfere, because she knows that he is capable of ruining their plan and escaping Amio. So he ends the conversation and tells her that he will not do anything, and will wait for her to take an actual stance before the government, and bring Amio back to them again. When he goes out to meet Eva and Mabel, they go to him quickly to know what happened and their plan to rescue Amio. But he calms them and tells them that the principal will handle it and bring Amio back again, and all they have to do is just wait until she acts. But of course Sika only shows his surrender, yet he intends to go rescue Amio, and he uses summoning magic and summons the Ayakashi-ru, the giant dragon, in order to go rescue Amio. And at that moment Yuki enters and warns him that now he is about to make the same mistake he made in his past life, and he will use his power and reveal it before humans, and before the soldiers of the empire as well, meaning he will gain the enmity of the entire empire. So Sika reassures her and tells her, if anyone sees me I will kill him afterwards, no one will know the extent of my power, I will go kill all the soldiers and take Amio out easily. And he rides Ryu and orders him to go to the place where Amio is imprisoned. And indeed Sika arrives and spreads his papers everywhere, so that he can determine Amio's location, and he indeed knows the cell where she is being held. So he goes down to storm the castle and returns Ryu to his world again, and one of the soldiers sees him, and immediately whistles loudly to draw the attention of all the castle soldiers that there is an intruder, and the archers shoot him with arrows, but he uses his magic and creates a black cloud around him that repels all the arrows, and all the castle soldiers gather before him to stop him, and they try to shoot arrows at him again, but this time flaming arrows, and Sika evades them, and uses his magic and delivers to them a giant strike of blue flame that is enough to burn a large number of soldiers, and he tells the rest if they allow him to accomplish what he came for and leave he will not kill them, but they do not agree and throw more arrows at him, so Sika summons a very fast Ayakashi that slaughters at the speed of light, and begins killing the soldiers one after the other, while Sika uses the blue flame to accelerate the process of killing the soldiers. Sika reaches Amio's cell and melts the cell bars, so Amio is startled and asks Sika to leave. Once they know the truth and know that she did nothing they will let her go. But Sika confesses the truth to her, and tells her that will not happen, Amio, because you are the hero of this generation. Of course Amio is shocked, because she did not know, and asks him, how am I the hero? So he answers her saying the legend says that every few centuries a new hero is born, and at the same time a king of demons is born. You are the hero of this generation, and the government, in order to satisfy the demons and avoid wars with them, want to sacrifice her and offer her as a sacrifice to the demons. But Sika hears a movement sound beside him and strikes a random blow toward the sound, and Gray, his brother, appears as the one who made the sound, but he uses a protective shield to evade his strike, and Sika welcomes him and tells him that he is ready to face him now instead of the last time when he withdrew. But Fiona interrupts Sika's words, and appears suddenly and tries to calm Sika, but Sika is very upset, and warns her that if she does not withdraw from facing him he will kill her and all her guards. But Fiona knows the danger of facing Sika, and knows that it will be a losing war anyway for Fiona, and tells him that she is here not to fight him, she wants to answer all the questions he has. To prove to him her good intentions, Sika wants an answer to only one question: why do both humans and demons want to kill Amio, even though she is on the side of humans, and is considered a point of strength for them? And Fiona answers him that the numbers of soldiers now have increased greatly for demons and for humans, and their power has multiplied since the last time the hero appeared, so therefore she will not have a great effect. Sika is surprised and tells her then if she will not have an effect then the solution is that we leave her alone, not that we kill her. But Fiona replies to him that the hero is always considered a symbol of war, so the demons every time were sending someone trying to kill her. They do not want to kill her to show their strength. No, all they want is to prevent the war from happening in the first place, and humans like them do not want the war to happen. And Fiona confesses to him, and tells him that Amio is one of the weakest heroes who came in history, and that is because of the presence of Sika, because the hero gains her power when she wins battles and goes through adventures and passes dangers. Amio Sika always protects her, and that is why he has stopped her power from developing and becoming like any hero who came. And this upsets Sika more, and he tells her, so what you are asking from me is that I let her die, in order to satisfy both sides, humans and demons, and prevent the war from happening. But Fiona tells him, of course I do not want that, and that is why all I will ask from you is that you leave now, you and Amio. And reminds him that when she defeated him in chess the loser would owe the other a request, and she wants to use it now. And she helps them escape from the castle, and tells him to go ride the carriage that she prepared for them, which is full of money, food and weapons, and head to the city of Rachna in order to live there, and live their life there in peace. Sika feels guilty, and that he wronged Fiona. And she tells him, if you had focused on my words you would remember that I am always on your side. So Sika decides to fix what he did, and uses his power and makes a huge spell with his magic papers, in order to bring all the soldiers back to life again. And Fiona thanks him for that, and wishes them to enjoy their life in Rachna, and promises them that they will surely meet again. Fiona sends a letter to Eva and Mabel, so that they go as well to the city of Rachna, and the four of them live together. And as soon as Sika and Amio's carriage arrives they meet them there. And the city of Rachna becomes the end of this part of the story, and the beginning of a journey of adventures awaiting the four heroes.